Welcome to the DraftKings pregame show for the 2021 Cornhole Mania ACL Nationals #2, Trey. We have some great action going here. We're live in Wichita, Kansas at Wichita State University, and the action's been out of control so far, Trey.
Out of control. Amazing weekend so far.
And I'll tell you what, right now, going into these doubles finals, I'm really excited. I would love for you to go ahead and jump into some of this action, and what are we looking at today?
Yeah, so when we talk about our pro doubles division, we have pro doubles and pro singles, both of which you'll see tonight on ESPN3 at 8 p.m. Central Time. And they're split into 4 different brackets, the entire field of players. And so last night, we whittled down the entire field of our pro doubles division down to the winners of each of those 4 brackets. And so now they're meeting in a single elimination playoff, winner take all. So we'll have 2 semifinal matches followed by a finals match. And then of course, pro singles, very same exact format, will also bring you tonight at 8 p.m. Central, the finals of that pro singles matchup. So we got 4 great teams in pro doubles. That's what we're going to talk about today and dive in real deep. And it's just, man, it's also been a great weekend too. You know, yesterday you had a chance to even call some of the women's doubles action. That was a ton of fun to watch. Yeah, sure did.
We had a 3-hour block there. I got to go call all of the women's doubles action and the seniors. And the seniors division, which is all unbelievable action was going on yesterday. And today with our pro doubles here, we have a lot of people in here that we've seen normally, and then we have some people here that we don't really see.
Yeah, a lot of a variation in players. We've seen some of the big heavy hitters, the titans of the game, as I like to call them. And then we're also got some new players like Doug Zaft and Bill Hadley. We're going to talk a lot more about them, but Bill Hadley, winning that senior singles division in that last round in 11.00 PPR points per round, which is just absolutely ridiculous. It just goes to show you that, just because you're the 81st ranked team in this pro division, you can ascend all the way to the top. But I think like you said, we got 4 great teams. Excited to dive in to talk about them. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's dive into these teams and see what we have going on tonight on tonight's broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll start really with all the different teams. We got 4 teams. So Eric Davis and Brett Guy are team number 1, Trey Burchfield and Derek King. Team number 2, Jamie Graham, Matt Guy, team number 3, and then Doug Zaft and Bill Hadley. Who do you want to start with, Shaun? Who do you want to dive in?
Well, you know what, let's start with the youngsters, okay? Obviously, Eric Davis, Brett Guy, Matt Guy's son. What's going on in this house? What's in the water there? They might end up playing each other in the finals on television. I don't even know who my dad is, Trey.
Yeah, Eric Davis, Brett Guy, 2 players that, we talked about at the beginning of the season. The big question mark on them was bag selection, because Eric Davis is such a roll bag player. He needs that sticky type of bag, that sticky set, because bags are 2-sided in the ACL. I needed a material that would apt him to be able to roll bags and flop bags over in order to be at the highest level of his game. Well, the good news is Fire Cornhole, which he throws, they came out just recently with a Fire Cornhole Assault bag that is that slower carpet style material. And really, the proof is in the stats, really. He went from an 8.21 points per round to a 9.55 at this event. So 8.21 at the first national, increased over a full point. So for those knowing or asking what is PPR, it's simply the amount of points you're scoring per round. So if you put 3 bags in the hole, 1 bag on the board, that's going to be a value of 10 points in that singular round. So I think that increase alone, Shaun, goes to show you that he's already making that jump with these new bags.
And just so you understand, when you're talking about the 2 different sides, you got the sticky and the slide. That's where you're gonna get the roll. You need that. When you get the sticky side, you're gonna get that so it catches it more in order to flip.
Exactly. The grip in front of the bag as it hits in front, because it needs a little bit of friction to cause that toppling action to come over the top of another bag. So I think that's certainly the key.
And it just shows again where this game is going, and then the science behind it, and what these younger players are really starting to come up with. And the bag companies are falling right in there and catering to what's happening. And now we're seeing these flip and these roll bags, which is just an unbelievable situation, and makes the game so much more fun to watch. Watching someone flip the bag over three other bags and go into the hole, it just looks wonderful.
Yeah, it really does. And his partner on the other end, Brett Guy, is not traditionally a roll bag player like Davis is, but obviously we've seen a big improvement from Brett Guy's statistics as well, especially on the PPR and the DPR front differential per round. So PPR is a good gauge of how many points you're scoring as an individual, whereas DPR, or differential per round, is giving you a better gauge of how you're actually playing relative to your opponent. So am I scoring every single time? Who cares if I'm throwing a 10-point round, but if I'm not scoring, it's not worth anything. So for Brett Guy, he went in that first event to the second event, 8.21 on the PPR to all the way up to a 9.77, more than a point and a half. That's a huge increase relative to an event comparison. And then he was able to get his DPR from a 0.86 up to a 1.05. So he's above that 1.0 threshold. So essentially, when Eric Davis gives the bags down to Brett Guy on his end, you're expecting he's getting a point every single round here in doubles, no matter what, which is really, really crucial when you're talking about playing against the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, scoring a point, these guys are unbelievable. And for every single time this guy throws, he's winning by a point, no matter what, or more, and then just constantly increasing how much of a differential he's winning by. And he's a young dude, obviously, and his dad and him working on their game at home, and it's showing for that level of increase from one tournament to the next. That just shows a lot of hard work that they're putting in on these boards.
Yeah, I really think they're going to be a tough team to beat. They are 6-0. Every team playing in this single elimination playoff is undefeated right now, which is something that is relatively unique. It doesn't always happen when you have these double elimination brackets, but they are all undefeated. Davis and Guy, 3 top 50 wins. Top 50 meaning, if a team they played this weekend was ranked in the top 50 in pro double standings, and then 1 top 10 win. So their top 10 win came against former world champions, advanced doubles world champions, AJ Sims and Josh Grove. So they took them down 23-7. So a waxing of a team that's in the top 10 that had a really good start in Florida. Also wins against Michael Lucas Jr. and Michael Dingus, who's not necessarily, they're ranked 25th right now, but in reality they're usually better than 25th. They just kind of had a slow start in Florida. And then obviously the 2 wins, if you were tuning into the action on Friday, against Ashton Spiess and Jacob Beamer, taking them down twice. And those guys were really slinging it as well.
Yeah, we had a chance yesterday to call the Eric Davis and Brett Guy one of their wins on the digital network on the secondary courts.
Yeah.
And they're just playing aggressively, and I really feel like they're going to be a hard team to take down. Yeah. I mean, even with these set of teams, the way those guys were throwing bags yesterday on that broadcast, I was really impressed. And again, I really feeling the vibe that these younger dudes are bringing to the game.
Yeah, and one thing I love about Brett Guy, he is a big shot player. Some people are just, I'm going to try to wear you down methodically, like a Damon Dennis. He's going to bag and bag and bag and bag after in the hole. And it's like he almost just kind of wears you down, and that's why he's the #1 ranked player in the world right now. But someone like a Brett Guy, he's a big shot player, right? He's going to set it up. He's going to get all the bags where he needs to, and that 4th bag, he's going to come down with the hammer, and that's what really makes him a special player when you get on this big stage. So excited to see them and how they'll play, but unfortunately, they got a tough draw.
Yeah, they do. That's a real big game they have here. This is not going to be anything near easy. Let's talk about who they're playing here. We got their team against teamed up versus Trey Burchfield and Derek King. I mean, this is another team right now that's really looking strong.
Yeah, a reigning pro doubles world champion. They won the 2020 ACL World Championships back in 2020 in August, and so they are as confident as ever. And they always have a target on their back, but at this point they're used to it.
Yeah,
right?
they didn't even see who they're playing. They're just playing, and they're good. I mean, Trey Burchfield right now, out of from the last tournament, he's at a 9.83 PPR. With a 1.11 DPR. So again, right there, he's scoring nonstop points, and he's hitting he's 4-bagging 49% of the time almost.
49% coming into this event. That's outrageous, that high level of 4-bag percentage. And then in pro doubles specifically. And then he comes to the Cornhole Mania, he comes to this event this weekend, and he bumps that average up to a 10.45 on the PPR front and a 1.97 differential. He is literally scoring 2 points per round every single time against the best talent in the world. I mean, there's not a word for that except absurd. He leads the entire pro doubles division at this Cornhole Mania in both PPR and DPR. So when you talk about a statistical king of the court, if you will, it's got to be Trey Burchfield.
And when you think you're right at the top of your game, and then you show up to the next tournament and you tell everybody, yeah, I know I played better than most of you last tournament, but now I've also increased my statistical range by another 40% higher than everybody. It's unbelievable. 10.45, hitting 4-bagging 50% of the time, and then your partner is Derek King. I mean, you've got to have a humongous level of confidence coming into these finals tonight.
Yeah, both Derek King and Trey Burchfield, just for being such power players and having the ability to push bags from anywhere on the board, they also have a really high level of finesse. And so Burchfield especially has a fantastic ability to get around bags, sneak around bags, utilize the slick side of the bag. We talked about Davis earlier being able to really utilize that tacky side and roll bags, whereas Burchfield, he can finesse his way around bags if he needs to, or if he wants to flip it over and just push everything in, he can absolutely do that as well. Now, Derek King specifically has always been well known for his push shot ability. He's one of the best push players in the world. He's got that hard line drive bag. I really look for him to try to dirty up each and every game. He's going to want to block the hole. He's going to want to push bags in. And I think when we talk about the matchups in a little bit, that's one of the things I want to talk about is the fact that I think both teams in this matchup are going to be apt to make the game very dirty, which is going to make for some exciting shots.
Yeah, and I mean, and also with Trey Burchfield and Derek King, you're looking at a real good cop, bad cop kind of thing here. Trey Burchfield, he's going at the hole. Derek King, he's slopping it up a little bit, making these other players earn their points, and it seems to be working. They're plowing through the field here. They're getting better every tournament, and it's going to be a real tough matchup. This matchup is going to be wonderful with the youngsters versus these more seasoned gentlemen, and I mean, everybody at the top of their game. Really, it's going to come down to who's going to make the first mistake. Yeah. And with Derek King, I don't know if you know how hard it is, but when you start adding in all the extra force to throw, that's just giving yourself more room for error. Yeah. The more speed you're picking up, the more room for error, and the looser the bags are going to go flying. So I like this game a lot. I really like what we got coming off tonight. And I'm going to see if they can really stick to the stats on this and hold true to what they've been doing this entire tournament.
Yeah, Burchfield and King throwing the lucky bag surefires. They've been comfortable with that bag since the season. It's not what they threw last year, but I think they've developed a comfortability with it. 4 top 50 wins at this pro doubles event here at the Cornhole Mania, but no top 10 wins. So for me, that kind of poses a little bit of a question mark, right? Since they haven't played a top 10 team on paper, that doesn't mean the top level talent wasn't equivalent, but they haven't had that experience at this event yet. But they're going to here coming up, right? So wins against Emery Parker and Tucker Stills, 21-3, that's a good one. And then Eddie Grindersleeve and Caleb Batson. I think that's the signature win because Batson and Grindersleeve coming into the year were really valued as a very high level team. Ranked 33rd, that's probably a little bit low by their standards, but 21-13 and 21-12. So not a blowout, but at least a little bit of room of comfortability there when it comes to that win, and certainly impressive for Burchfield and King to get those 2 wins.
Yeah, to get the win against Grindersleeve and Batson, I've been mostly impressed this weekend from watching Batson play. He's a 15-year-old kid. He's got a complete control over what he's doing. And it was just a real pleasure to watch him just work his way through the tournament. Obviously, you're going to run into a team, Burchfield and King. You're going to run into those issues, but it just shows the bright future of that team with the Grindersleeve and Dotson at that young age being so well. But then again, it just shows how strong these guys are coming in tonight, and this matchup is going to be one for the ages. Now let's get to team number 3, and that's going to be guys you're always used to seeing. They're always in the clips. They're always at the top of the tournaments. They're always on the broadcast. Jamie Graham and Matt Guy.
Yeah, you could almost just leave it at that, right? Jamie Graham and Matt Guy. You have the winningest ACL pro of all time, and that's Matt Guy, paired up with the 2020 singles world champion, man of the year, player of the year. I mean, Jamie Graham's resume from the 2020 season is truly unbelievable. It's unheard of to an extent. Now, the story really yesterday, though, off of the broadcast court was Matt Guy and how dominant that he was. Coming into the broadcast court, his 4-bagger percentage was 50%, 50. That means of all the rounds that he threw, half of them were 4-baggers. putting every single bag in the hole. I mean, that's outrageous. Now, what we saw on the broadcast court last night in that game against Stephen Bernasette and Tom Gustafson, that wasn't the Matt guy that was playing all day yesterday. So for me, it's like, what Matt guy are we going to get? Because I'll put it this way, they are not going to lose if we get the Matt guy that was on the pro double, that was in the bracket play of pro doubles earlier in the day. But if we get the Matt guy that was on the broadcast court yesterday, we've got a little bit more holes in the armor, if you will.
And you know, he's so locked in. Like I'm getting in these tournaments. I'm here hanging out. I'm mingling and meeting all the players, but nobody seems to be just so dialed in and focused. Like nothing else matters to this man, and it explains why he's on top. I mean, you don't even. He's so focused. I don't even want to roll up to him.
Yeah.
It's like because this guy is just locked in, and when you're shooting 50% all times at 4-bag and every round, you can see that it's working. His level of concentration. But then again, like you said, there are opportunities where he could take, he can be off just a little bit. But again, in this sport, a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, a little bit goes a long way, and that can be the difference. Matt guy was essentially about even going from the kickoff battle to the Cornhole Mania as far as overall stats go in pro doubles, a 9.89 PPR at the kickoff battle, a 10.09 PPR, so not that big of a difference from the two events. Jamie Graham actually decreased a little bit, went down in PPR from a 10.08, but that's a really high PPR. Went down to a 9.39 and almost identical DPR. So they were so dominant. And the story at the kickoff battle for Jamie Graham and Matt Guy, how they got to the number 3 world ranking at the kickoff battle was nobody scored double digits against them in bracket play. But then they got on the main stage and they had to play against Jordan Camba and James Baldwin, who eventually go on to win that event, and they get dominated. I mean, I think it was 21-3 or something like that. I mean, it was a waxing. And so for me, when I combine that with the fact that Matt Guy didn't play that great on the broadcast court yesterday, for me it's like, is there something about this court? Mm-hmm. And normally I would say no, because they both have experience on this court, but somehow when you put them together, is there something with that chemistry that's not quite there yet? But obviously we'll learn tonight and we'll find out real quickly.
Yeah, we are going to find out real quickly. And I guess of both of these semifinal matches, you'd have to say that Graham and Guy have the easier battle because they're playing a couple of guys that we didn't expect to be. We had no idea these guys would end up being in the doubles finals tonight.
Right, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Doug Zaff and Bill Hadley, we'll get to in a second. I mean, they're nobody pegged them. They're the 81st ranked team in the country. I mean, anytime you're ranked 81 in a field of about 120 teams, nobody's necessarily pegging you to finish at the top. But that goes to show you, I mean, literally anyone can play and anyone can win. I mean, that's the slogan. Jamie Graham and Matt Guy, they do come in with 3 top 50 wins here at the Cornhole Mania and 2 top 10 wins. Both of those top 10 wins were against Bernasette and Gustafson. Now, Bernasette and Gustafson are now 0 for 4 against Graham and Guy on the year. And so that's
they got their number.
They got their numbers.
And not to mention, we're talking about Matt Guy's 4-bag percentage here. Jamie Graham's right there. I mean, these guys, if they can just bring it to this big stage tonight, it's going to be really hard for them to lose. The only thing they lose is if they beat themselves by not performing up to the standards that got them here.
Yes, I completely agree. They'll also be throwing the Fire Cornhole starters. They've kind of gotten used to those bags by now, so those won't be the issue. But certainly going to be a tough team to beat. They're 5-0. Like I said, 2 top 10 wins against Bernasette and Gustafson. So
yeah, that's really tough. You have to beat that team twice to get here, and they just didn't beat them. I mean, in the 2 games that they played, they beat them 21-16 and 21-0.
Yeah, 21-0.
How do you blank them guys? So if that Graham and Guy shows up tonight, the other 3 teams have a problem on their hands.
They absolutely have a problem.
And it doesn't matter that he's playing. He might end up playing his son. For that little matchup, you might have to learn the real lesson. But we'll see. You love to see all these guys win, but how good would it feel if Matt Guy lost to his son on television? That's some real bragging rights at the house right
Yes,
there.
it is. Absolutely. It'd be the first time ever that they played against each other on such a big stage, because in previous years, they've always been paired up as a team, and this year not. So it's certainly going to be interesting. But
So let's talk about our final team here. What do we got here? This is the sleeper squad here. Doug Zapp and Bill Hadley. Bill Hadley already having a great weekend. Last night, obviously on the ESPN rebroadcast, he won the 55 and over seniors division, and he made it look pretty easy against a gentleman that was throwing great bags.
Yeah, the 11.0 PPR, just 11, just stupid. That's just stupid.
Yeah, and you know, and I had a wonderful conversation with him after. I got to really, his journey here is wonderful, and he's just such an upbeat, positive guy. You can see that he's just playing the game. You know, you're over 55. You've lived a life of hard work, blue collar dude, and now here he is, just he's playing the game, and he's playing at a really high level. I mean, let's go over his stats here.
Yeah, 987 for Bill Hadley as far as the PPR goes, and then Zapp on the other hand, on the other side, 955, and then 0.45 and 0.63 for their respective PPR. So pretty even, and I think that's reflective of what we saw. You know, in some cases, you could argue that each one of these three teams that we've already talked about, one player at times had to do a little bit of the carrying of the team. Maybe not through the whole tournament, but at times, I really don't think that was the case for Hadley and Zapp. I think they were both pretty even throughout the entire day. But Bill Hadley, obviously, we saw the incredible performance he put on in senior singles, and I think the dominating performance, the strong performances that they had against Cody Henderson and Adam Hissner on that main stage that we got to call yesterday, ended up, you know, really showing us that they're ready to compete now. They're not up and coming. They're here now and ready to play. And
they beat them dominantly. Hissner and Henderson, that's no walk in the park. To take them down 21-13 as the number 81 seed in this whole thing, that's something you don't want to look over when you're going into tonight's broadcast.
Yeah, and the thing I love about Zapp and Hadley, and this was true, it turned out to be true at the kickoff battle. We talked about, is it better to come in and dominate a field of lesser players, or is it better to win a lot of close games against really tough opponents? Well, it turned out to be true, the latter, when it came to James Baldwin and Jordan Canva. They went through like the onslaught, the gauntlet of tough competition, and that turned out to be useful for them in the Final Four playoff because they were used to playing against that really tough competition. Doug Zapp and Bill Hadley by far have had the hardest road when it comes to the pro doubles here. 6 top 50 wins. They're 6-0. That means every team that they played this weekend was ranked in the top 50. 2 top 10 wins, okay? And that's against those 2 wins against Adam Hissner and Cody Henderson, who are ranked in the top 5, sitting at number 3. They also have wins against John Kitchen and Jamie Hudson, a top 20 team. Ty Lopez and Pedro Zazueta, that's an up-and-coming team in the top 30. And then Derek Fatiger and Leslie McKeever, who we know have always been there at the end in a lot of these different big tournaments. So their resume is the most impressive. For being the underdog team, they're showing that they can be dominant. Now the question is, usually when you talk about like a Cinderella story or a team that can go through a bunch of games in a row, you wonder if there's a layover from day to day, right? Because they had so many, they won all 6 of those games yesterday.
Yeah, your momentum is rolling.
Right, can they wake up this morning, warm up the same way, get in the same rhythm, and establish the same type of momentum that they had yesterday?
I really hope so because, you know, listen, as much as I would love to see a father-son war, there's just something about a sleeper like this. And I fell in love with Hadley as a player yesterday on that broadcast during the seniors finals. Zapp, almost an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
I mean, so their story alone is just wonderful. The teams they had to get past, to get here, I think I'm pulling for them. But again, it doesn't matter who you're pulling for. This is going to be some serious. It's just going to come down to 1 or 2 bags off the boards that just missed by a little bit, and that's going to be the window here, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So I think it's time to talk matchups and predictions.
Okay, this is where we're going to find out how well does Trey know. Now listen, here's the good thing. All 4 of these teams should be very excited that I had a hurt back this week. Trey and I had to drop out of the tournament. I have a little sciatic nerve problem. I've been putting on some belly weight, okay? It's COVID. But here we are. Who do you got, Trey, on our first matchup?
Yeah, so Eric Davis and Brett Guy, Trey Burchfield and Derek King. Like I said, I really think this is going to be what we call a dirty game. Both teams are more apt to block the hole and shoot airmails, shoot push shots, or execute those roll bags that we talked about, especially with Eric Davis. So for me, I expect the PPRs of everybody on the board to be lower than what we're used to. And what it's going to come down to is who hits the big-time shots, okay? I think that is how the game is going to play out. And because of that, I'm actually going to lean towards Eric Davis and Brett Guy. I know Trey Burchfield and Derek King are our pro doubles world champions. I know Trey Burchfield may be the best player on the court. And that may absolutely be true for me. My question mark is Derek King. Even on the big court, the broadcast court that we saw last night, first round gives up an 8-point round. Okay, you can't do that against a team like Eric Davis and Brett Guy, who have been just as hot as you have been. So really, the question mark for me is going to rest on Derek King. What about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with you on there. You know, you can't give up an 8-point round to anybody in this sport. So to do that in the big court, you know, you have to ask yourself, is there a little less confidence sometimes when it comes to the big shots and it goes long, or you know, he's missing any kind of air mail, you know, drags, things like that he's shooting for and missing. So if he could step it up, you know, but again, I think I have to agree with you here. Again, you got Burchfield and King. I'm going to have to definitely go. I'm going with the young guns on this one. Yeah. You know, after watching them, after calling a few of their games yesterday, they just look dialed in. And I think that they got a little bit more to prove. So, you know, this is their second tournament playing together. They're excited, coming off a great tournament in Florida. So I think they squeeze this out. I think we go Davis and Guy on that first matchup.
All right, you're taking Davis and Guy as well. So we both got Davis and Guy. And then second matchup, Jamie Graham and Matt Guy taking on Doug Zaft and Bill Hadley. Why don't you go first this time?
All right. Now, again, this is another easy one to say that you know who's going to win. You're gonna go with the top seeds. Obviously, this is gonna be heavy on this one. Okay. But I am 100% going with Zaft and Hadley on this one. I want to see the Cinderella story because I know that the Guy family are going to have 100 tournaments to go heads up on TV together because they're going to keep making it. That's a guarantee. Hadley and Zaft, I am 100% behind him on this one, and I think they do it. Hadley's vibe yesterday, he's just living it, and then watching Zaft play yesterday, I think these guys are in the zone. You don't go this far, you don't beat that many teams, and then just come in here and flop on the broadcast.
Yeah, and I think that certainly can be the case. When it comes to a team that's very bag for bag, I expect this game to be bag for bag. Very different, a contrast from what we're going to see in that first game, at least from my opinion. Graham and Guy, I think, are just going to try to put as many bags in the hole as they can. They'll hit the timely air mails if possible, but Zaft and Hadley throwing those Ultra Vipers, super slick bags. They're not going to be doing a whole lot of blocking, and so I don't anticipate Guy or Graham trying to do that as well. I'm going to go opposite of you on this one. I'm going to go Graham and Guy. I think they finally figure it out on this broadcast court, right? I think they're just too good of players. I think they did enough to win yesterday and just to get by, and they were just okay. But I think now that they got another day under their belt, I think they're come back here. They're gonna capitalize, and I think they take down Zaft and Hadley. But I think it's close. I think Zaft and Hadley. I think it's 13-13, something like that as we go. And then Graham and Guy, as it gets close and everybody tenses up a little bit, they just have a little bit more experience and they pull away there at the end.
Yeah, you're right. Composure could be a big deal here, especially if you are looking at a tight matchup, 13-13, and it really comes down to a couple of bags in a few of the later rounds. That could be where they are. That poise comes into play. But again, I'm going with the sleeper here, and I'm looking for Hadley to win only the seniors, but also the doubles overall.
You gotta win both.
I want him to win them both. I just love the story.
And for the finals, I'm going to go with actually Brett Guy and Eric Davis. I think they're going to take down Jamie Graham and Matt Guy. The son is going to get the dad in the finals, Brett Guy. I'm really hoping that they're paired up one against one another, Brett Guy and Matt Guy. I think Brett can do enough to hold down his dad and can really be consistent in that finals match, hit some big shots when needed. And I think this is going to be a breakout party for Eric Davis against Jamie Graham. I think he has enough tools to get the job done, enough shots in the arsenal, if you will, in order to get the victory, and they get their first national win as a team in just their second tournament together.
You know, and they do. They have more of a less to lose. I mean, you're the son. You know, if I got nothing to lose, Dad, you should beat me. I mean, you've had a 20-some-year run on you to practice. So again, it's a great story. But I'm going with the sleepers. You got the Guy family going heads up. So we're just gonna have to tune in tonight, see how it all plays out.
Yep, 8 p.m. Central Time on ESPN3. You want to tune in and watch that, and then you can rewatch The television airing Sunday, March 21st. That's tomorrow, Sunday, at 11 a.m. Central Time. That's 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central on ESPN2 to see how it all plays out. Exciting time, Shaun. I'm pumped.
I'm excited as well. Now let's go ahead and get out of here because I got to put some icy hot on my back, Trey.
See you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.